It's such a joy to be here talking with Terry, the founder, CEO of OpenDialog. You are, out of the stable of founders and CEOs in our portfolio, a past master at creating followership in your leadership. And I mean, you've got lots of experience at it, right? You scaled, this is your second scaling journey now. What's your blueprint? Like, how do you do that with authenticity?
Well, you flatter me, Jane. I don't think I'm a past master at anything, really. And I think, every day I'm learning something new. And I guess that's part of the journey, and that's part of the authenticity, I guess, that maybe creates a feeling in people around you that they want to be part of the journey. I think for me, the most important thing, and I've seen it in a positive light, and I've also seen the negative effect it can have if it isn't done well, is being very clear and collaborative about the vision, the mission, and helping everybody to understand their part in the journey and the importance of their part in the journey and why it matters. And I think that people feel they're contributing to a greater good as a team, as a collective, as a collaborative, even when they're not completely aligned in what they're trying to do, because that happens. But if you really understand that you are all part of the wood behind the arrowhead, then I think it makes a massive difference. And I think people feel part of it, and that creates that idea of, we're all going in the same direction. There's a lead, and there's everybody following.
Totally love that answer. There's something about the above water and below water kind of line that I wanted to ask you about, though. Kind of what's under the hood in the way that you prepare for whether it's an all hands or a pitch, or just a moment where you're communicating with your team and or an audience. How do you go about preparing that so that you get the best result?
I guess I always start with the why. Why am I providing this information? Why am I providing this update? Why am I, and why would it matter to the people that are listening? Because if it doesn't, then why bother?
So you're thinking about that. Is that where you start your own preparation?
That's where I start my preparation. Is why am I sharing? Why am I updating? And then what do I want to be able to update them on? And what is it appropriate to? I am by nature open and communicative, and I'd like to be as open and communicative with the team as is possible. But as you'll appreciate, as a CEO, there are sometimes things that you need to buffer from the rest of the organisation. So remembering to have a filter and have a level of what can be shared and what's appropriate to share, and how people might react to it. Because there are tough times as well as good ones.
There are, and you're spot on. Do you how much in advance are you preparing? Kind of, do you how much do you prepare? Kind of what? Can you just, for those that are, you are brilliant at it, and so I'm really keen to just unpack the, look under the hood a little bit.
I think everybody prepares in different ways. I've worked with some great people who are very structured and very thorough and very methodical and very deliberate in their planning and preparation. But for me, it's much more about being authentic and genuine. And then it comes more naturally. Communication comes more naturally, and the ability to adapt your communication to a question or an input or a circumstance is much easier. Yeah. So I would say that's my place where I come from, rather than a very structured.
And then that's yours to own. Yeah, and then you just trust that it's going to come out.
Yeah.
We talked earlier about the fact that this is your second CEO term, and you've scaled all the way through to exit, which is no mean feat. And it's a journey which is unrelentingly challenging, and at times I'm sure absolutely exhausting. How do you keep yourself afloat? How do you keep that equilibrium physically, emotionally?
Yeah, good question. I think I went into this journey very differently. Firstly, because I had the experience of being a founding CEO before, and the turbulence of the journey. I was very deliberate in that when I approached the OpenDialog journey, that I would do things differently the last time out. And one of them was not to be a sole founder. So to do it with co-founders who were in the same place emotionally connected to the business as I was. So the weight of the whole thing wasn't with me as it was last time. So I think that was important. The second was not to allow it to become all-consuming of my time, of my thoughts, of my energy, 24/7, which had happened previously, and to be able to detach myself a little bit more and put as much energy into it, but for less time. So to be able to take breaks and take time when I'm not thinking about the business, because it actually ultimately it makes me more productive when I am.
Yeah.
And so that's about careful time management, which is not a great skill I have. So I have to be very overt in doing that, and I have to make sure I take time. And that could be, taking time away from the desk, going for a walk around the block, or it could be taking certain days where I say, actually, I'm going to take time out and do something differently.
What I hear in that is this sort of in part integration. Like you've got to be able to take them, as you say, like the mental breaks inside the construct of the actual like working week, so to speak, and making time to think. You of your many talents, and you do have loads of them as a CEO. The other thing that I've been really impressed with as I've watched your work is that you don't rush to fix other people's work. Certainly from the outside in, it looks like you've got an awareness of your own swim lane, and the things that you think are yours and yours to own, and then your ability to be able to delegate well to others, whilst not compromising this goal and the ambition. Is that true? How have you done it? How do you? What are the non-negotiables around saying no to things or empowering others?
That's an interesting one. Yeah, and I think that's probably the benefit of experience as well. Thank you again for the observation. But yeah, I think having had to be everything, wear every hat, then actually being able to say, no, I'm going to be very conscious of my role as CEO. What's important? What's important is setting the vision, making sure that the mission is clear and that we all understand the journey that we're on, setting clear goals, and then making sure the business is well enough funded to be able to survive through the next phase of its generation and growth, and making sure we're focused on bringing the right people into the business, and also making sure that we're focused on identifying when the right people are not in the business, i.e. the wrong people are in the business, and doing something about it very quickly. So those are that's my swim lane, are those three things, and ensuring that other people are empowered to fill in the gaps around the other things that the organisation needs, the creation of a great product, the building of a great commercial motion, and the testing and evaluation of go-to-market channels, and doubling down on the ones that work and the ones that don't. And of course, making sure we're very focused on the customer and what the customer wants, and delivering them a great experience when they work with us.
Yeah, fantastic. I love how you're connected into our founder community and the founder CEOs, and how much you seem to enjoy talking to them, learning from them. What have you learned? Like, share the wisdom. Like, what's been most impactful?
I mean, I always find it fascinating to connect with peers and to understand relative experiences. And I think working with Albion has been a great opportunity to be even more connected to those communities. So I'm taking advantage of that whenever I can, because it's just fascinating to understand the similarity between people's journeys, but also the perspective they had that may be different, that make you pause and think, actually, I can understand that, and that I can learn from that, and maybe that changes the way that I behave, the way that I work, the way that I collaborate with my team, or the way I think about bringing other people into the business as advisors or as fractional board members to help move us forward. These are things that I picked up from talking to other founders and CEOs.
So one insight that really, you take from 2024 into 2025 from our founder group?
There's no rule book for being a CEO.
Yeah.
And I know you talk about it as being a craft. It's not a craft I think I've mastered by any stretch of the imagination. I think you're always learning, and every experience is different. Going from the work I did at Autonomy and that experience into OpenDialog, I probably have been surprised by how many new things I've learned, and how few of the mistakes I made before I've made again. That's a good thing. But how many new ones?
Yeah.
That you pick up along the way.
Like what? Pass one on.
Scaling too quickly.
Yeah.
So we were very constrained last time out with how quickly we could bring resources into the business, and we did it very organically and very slowly, which felt constraining. And we were constrained by funding. This time, having raised some money, the instinct was, let's go hire the people that we know we're going to need, let's go hire them, bring them in, get them working, get the business moving. And I think as a result of scaling too quickly, we made some mistakes in the people that we brought in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. However, what I love about what you're doing is that you know, you're not sitting on your hands, right? You're taking decisions which are sometimes tough, right? Are they tough? Like, how do you reach those decisions?
They're tough, but I think I think they need to be made. They need to be made quickly. And I think when it comes to people changes, I think one of the things that is really important is that people who are affected understand why, understand the rationale, understand the reasons, and I think that makes the whole process much more acceptable.
It is that, isn't it? It's, you know, what I hear in so much of what you do is this communication. You know, just explaining to people, bringing them with you, and that creates the connective sense, you know, sense of the journey together, right?
Yeah,
which is going to sustain people through good times, you know, tough times, wonky times.
Indeed. Yeah, I think, I mean, I guess it's a version of empathy, isn't it? If people understand why, then they can be empathetic to what was happening.
Yeah, and that's definitely your secret sauce. Love it. Thank you. Really, really awesome to talk.
Great stuff.